Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsport.
RACE22 Radio!
It's time for another edition of RACE22 Radio. In-depth coverage of all your favorite late model stock car racing action from all perspectives.
You want answers!
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
RACE22 Radio is hosted by Race22.com founder, Mr. Langley Austin.
All they need to do is delete the late model stock cars from that rule book, and that will help start fixing things right there. I mean, that's all we got to do. Just
So
delete
in the
that.
NASCAR rule book, is delete the pages and just say refer to car stores.
Exactly. That's all they got to do. That's all they got to do.
RACE22 Radio is co-hosted by Performance Center Racing Warehouse President, Mr. Roger Johnson.
You're the guy for this, in my opinion. You know, we don't. I mean, name me anybody else that's doing it.
Well, appreciate it.
Right? Well, it doesn't mean you're good. I'm just saying.
With special co-host, Crazy Corey Latham. Sit back, buckle in, and hold on tight. RACE22 Radio is coming right at you at full throttle. And now your host, Mr. Langley Austin.
All right, we're here at RACE22 Radio. We are not in studio at Performance Center Racing Warehouse tonight, and obviously we were not live. But we got everybody, well, sort of everybody here. We got myself, Langley Austin, Roger Johnson's on the line, and also got Doc Love producing us tonight. Roger, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, man. It's great.
Living the
Trying
dream,
to do
man.
this remotely. Yeah, for sure, right?
Right, we're all three at our homes, so we're trying to do this. It's my fault. I've been sick and didn't really want to make the trip down today. So we decided to do this thing remotely, but we still wanted to get the radio show on. We was off a couple weeks ago. Didn't really want to take another week off, even though, man, this rain sure is making us take a lot of time off.
It's actually, you know, it's not good for the chassis business, but it's great because we've completely revamped the whole shop.
Yeah, you sent me a video earlier. That's the best that place has ever looked, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'll get it to you, and we'll share it on social. We just, try to get a new, fresh look. Want people to understand some of the things we're gonna do. Still got the same guys, but I wanted to make it more friendly for people to come in there, and we've got our parts slammed full, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like the new layout. I think it looks a whole lot better in there. I think it looks a whole lot more inviting when people come in, and maybe that'll create more business because of where the parts are moved to, and you can see them so quickly. And no matter what you're doing in the shop, you're right there with everything.
Yeah, an interesting part. It's kind of become a hangout here the last little bit, which I'm happy about. Just people coming in, wanting to hang out, spend some time, and talk, and try to figure out how to make their stuff better. So I think all in all, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, next thing you know, you'll be in there holding chassis seminars and everything else.
We are going to do some of that, like we talked about. I've talked about it with you, definitely. I know the people listening don't know, but that's probably next. I'm going to start in the next 5 to 7 days. Performance Center is going to start doing some podcasting of different drivers that come in, and we just get an opportunity to grab them because they're coming in the facility to buy parts anyway. So it'll be a good opportunity to get RACE22 some interviews, good opportunity for PRW to get some representation out there for some of its drivers that maybe don't know exactly how to do it. So basically anybody that comes in, they have something that they want to say, we can sit down with them right there in the middle of the shop and spark it all on and they can get their message out there. We can do a bunch of different things. So I think it's going to be good along with the racing. Just not only building the race cars and going through that stuff, but I think if we can help people kind of create some things that they could use to better acquire sponsorship or just kind of get their name out there a little bit, I think it would be sweet. And we don't have to do it in the night. We can do it during the daytime if it's sometime that they have 15 or 20 extra minutes to come into the shop.
Right, and I mean, you have so much traffic coming in and out of there, man. There's probably a good 15 or 20 racers that come in through there during the course of a week, and I mean, it's a great opportunity to grab somebody and get 10 minutes of their time, or 5 minutes, or 15 minutes, or 30 minutes, however it goes.
That's what I'm the most excited about. I'm the most excited about these guys that they work late and they do whatever, and they just really don't have time. But now the difference is they'll come at 12:30 or at 1 o'clock or at 2 o'clock, and they'll pick up a hood and 2 fenders, and it's the perfect time. So right. I think we're going to be able to get a lot of those interviews or a lot of different things, perspectives from people that we didn't get, and hopefully we can bring some people to light. I mean, there's a gentleman that races at Hickory that runs a limited, that's from Russia, that basically scratches and claws and knives and lives in his trailer and works his butt off to try to race here and got a little bit of sponsorship. We should get that guy's story out a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe people wouldn't have to worry about, oh man, this didn't happen or that didn't happen. I mean, this guy's from another country living in a trailer so he can run limited at Hickory. That's amazing to me. You know what I mean?
It is, and I just hope that you get him to teach you how to say his name before the podcast.
Hence the reason I haven't said it. I don't know if you're not stupid. I'm not really stupid.
Oh man! Wow. Did either one of you guys make it anywhere racing this weekend?
The only place it didn't rain out was Wake Forest Baptist, Wake Health. We were wide open and had all divisions running, and we got everything in all day, Saturday and Sunday.
I hear you. Needless to say, I said I was sick. I didn't make it anywhere this weekend, and I was planning to go to Motor Mile. Figured there'd be quite a few cars there for the Cars Tour, kind of preview of sorts.
Redhead was running some recon on her break from Virginia Tech. She had took a little extended break and went over there to watch some practice, and she said there was some Cars Tour regular guys out there.
Yeah, I figured it'd probably be 8 or 10 of those guys, and I seen, some other people like Brian Purdom, who, normally runs up at Shenandoah Speedway. I seen he was there testing.
Nice.
So, Motor Mile, man, I'm telling you, I think, kind of during the winter, I think everybody was kind of sleeping on the fact that, car count wise of what they'd have. I think me. I
did.
Right,
I slept on them. It's my fault. I mean, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, and it was kind of, I think they did a good job quietly, and it's weird to say because in this business you want to be as loud as possible, but I think kind of behind the scenes, man, they just quietly did their thing and got their racers, to come race with them.
And I think as one of their targets is they got with the racers, their regulars. They know the guys that's going to be there, and they took them out in the community, and I think that worked. I think they were in the same situation as Ace, perhaps, they have to win back the confidence of the community. And I think race number 1, I think they knocked it out of the park. Little pun since they got the little baseball backing there. I thought it was fantastic. We were there with the Repcos, and they really tried to create a good atmosphere. A couple of things they tried that works in baseball maybe can work in racing, but in a different time. You don't want to put some kind of activity between the races to extend the night. You want to get those folks in and out. But I really enjoyed what they were trying to do. I get what they're trying to do, and I think they're going to really make that a fun place. Not just a place for the racers to have a top-notch facility, but it's going to be a fun place for the fans.
Yep. I absolutely agree. Yeah, I wrote a little article last week, early in the week, about their opener and grades, and I got a little pushback from some people. It's like, man, you was kind of hard on them, and I'm like, you guys don't understand the difference between being hard on somebody and telling somebody what their problem is.
Yeah, creative,
you know what I mean?
Being creative construction.
I mean, you gotta help these guys. I mean, me and Roger talk about it all the time, and me and Roger both talk to, different promoters and stuff. And it's all the time, we're telling them things, and it may be, easier for them to take when you're telling them, on the phone, just you and them talking than it is me writing an article. But, at the same time, people need to know. I thought that everything about Motor Miles opener was positive except for the time factor, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's one thing that they'll fix.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think they had talked about it all winter that they wanted to fix it, and I think first race they kind of said, "Oh, I think we're going to be okay," and then kind of found out they weren't. So,
right.
It happens.
They'll get there with it, though, I think, right? I mean, for that to be the biggest problem, I think that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
It's good for them to see that because, they know what they have to fix. Some of the things that they didn't think about maybe happened. Some of the things that they put in motion that worked great. So I'm sure they saw both sides of the story. Alcohol was a big issue. People want to bring their own alcohol. I'm almost would mention, hey, what about a section for those folks that want to just come and get as inebriated as they want to get? Because you saw some families. And right there beside you got people getting rowdy with the alcohol, and I don't think that's a good mix. I think that might be something they want to explore.
Doc, you probably just want to put them over there with those DUI lawyers.
Right, there you go. Once again,
they probably got them
for the win.
I could not resist. Oh,
but
man.
When I'm looking at a family with kids trying to have a good time and enjoying the atmosphere and the fun that they're trying to create, and then you got a drunk guy falling all over them, that's not good. Because the manager had to come out and they almost hauled the guy off, and I think I don't know if she stopped or they just agreed to let whatever group that he was with get him down there and get him with them. But that I saw several situations like that. But the manager, what's her name? I can't even think of her name.
Michelle Vaughn.
Yeah, Michelle. She came out. As soon as the cops were summoned, she was right there too. Everybody was on the radio, so I thought that was awesome to see the quick reaction. And she got involved. She is very involved, and I think that is absolutely awesome. That tells me a lot how hands-on she is with that facility.
Oh, 100%. And two things about what you just said. One is her visibility this time. She was running it before, but I think, things were laid out a little differently, and she wasn't like the face, whereas now she is, and she's doing a great job, and she was very visible during the event to the fans and to the competitors. And, the thing you mentioned about the drunks, that's unfortunately a thing that every event everywhere has to deal with, whether they sell the alcohol or they allow people to bring it in. It's just it's an unfortunate side effect, and you can try to fix it, and you might,
I think,
but you're not going to fix it all.
Right, because I think what Ace does with the backside, having the alcohol and they having a blast and doing their own thing, and I think that is fantastic to have those folks that want to do that, have their own place to do that. I think Motor Mile, when it was New River Valley Speedway before the drag strip, I think that was the only place that allowed alcohol was on the backside, I think, if I do recall.
You could be right. And the backside there, a lot of people listening probably don't know, but that was one cool place back there with the little campers and buses and all that stuff.
And when you could sit on the hillside, I remember I was in the Air Force, and we would come up to the Bush Race, 90, 91, I think it was, and I sat on the backside with the adult beverages. Don't get me wrong, and we had a ball. And oh my gosh, that place was magical. And it was packed on the front side. It was packed on the hills. Man, that was exciting time for that facility. And I'm glad to see it just as packed. I thought, when I talked to some of the staff, when we first got there, because we were a little late because I was my work weekend, and they're like, I don't know, look at the crowd. You're kind of worried. They came a little late, but boy, they came. They filled that place up their first race.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I don't want to spend all night talking about Motor Mile, even though they are one of my biggest advertisers, and I appreciate that. But tell us, I know we got 3 or 4 or 5 races in this weekend, despite the weather. So, Doc, take us through the news.
Yeah, if you're a racetrack and raced on Friday, yeah, you were good to go. That was the only place of the tracks that we covered that got to race on last Friday, May 10th. Ace Speedway, $5,000 to win. Late model stocks, Ryan Millington. Boy, he's been really hot here lately. I think saved his tires and kind of did a little rubbing. Bump and run, 10 to go. How about that? I bet Greg Marlowe said, hey, man, that's like the old man used to do, huh?
That's right. And Ryan's on fire, man. The guy, I wouldn't give you 10 cents for him 2 or 3 years ago, but now the dude's just he's an absolute tire saving wheelman.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I just think that his circumstances kind of changed, you know? I mean, they went from a small deal where his dad was kind of trying to do it all and after work and do this and do that and do whatever to, now Greg works for him on the stuff, I think, quite a bit, almost to a full-time basis, I believe. And,
right.
And they're seeing it, right? They're seeing the results. The kid's always been a pretty decent little wheelman. And it's not that his father is not he's a sharp guy too.
For sure.
I think it's just, he has his own business and he works very hard and there's only so many hours in the day to, divvy up. And I think that's one of the things that you're getting to see that Greg has brought to the table that just freed that whole group up where they could kind of relax and circle the wagons and make good strides,
Yeah, I think the world of
absolutely.
Scott. I remember him when he was racing. He's raced against Greg, so he knows what Greg brings to the table, no doubt.
They're great friends.
Yeah, I'm
they're
so
great friends.
so tickled
When Greg
to
worked for
see
me,
them.
he would come for hours and talk with him.
Yeah, I'm so tickled to see them have some success. Now, a lot of folks might not know, but Ryan, he races RC cars a lot, so his hand-eye coordination is pretty advanced for a young racer, and I think in a certain way that comes into play as well. Tinkering with those things and working on your motor skills and things like that. But good for those guys. Real excited for them. Anderson Speedway, they got to race on limited late models, twin 40s. John Gallman, he won both features. They had 16 cars. That's pretty stout for Anderson.
Man, Anderson's doing good. They're doing good things in that limited division. I'm telling you, it's just like Greenville. Eventually, that'll be their top division there, and they won't have late
Two
models.
guys today from down there called, said, they spoke that they were happy with what was happening down there and kind of were enjoying what was going on, which is good to hear,
Yeah, absolutely. And they got a good fanfare down there, and they do a lot of stuff on social media, so really excited for them. And I really want to get down there soon to check out some racing down that way. Kingsport Speedway got to race on Friday night, late model stocks. Nick Williams with the win, 11 cars. It was the Roger Neese and Tony Ward tribute night, so I thought that was pretty cool. Nick Williams with the feature win there.
Well, let me give you a little feedback I got from that race. It was pretty controversial. Nick actually did not lead most of the race. Ronnie McCarty did. Had a pretty big lead. They had a caution late, and I guess Nick got into him on the restart and turned him sideways. I don't know if he turned him around or not. I haven't seen video, but just listening to people. So he got into him, and then I believe he got into Hayden Woods on another restart. So, a lot of people wondering, because the Kingsport's been pretty quick in recent years about, putting a guy to the rear if he makes contact to bring out a caution. And that didn't happen in either instance with Nick Williams. But, the guy's on a roll without Chris Van Dyke there. I mean, I think he's the guy to beat. Obviously, Ronnie had a great car the other night, and he's won a race this year, too. And Hayden's, going to win him a race. And Zeke Shell's, right around in there with them, week in and week out too. But that was a little bit of a controversial thing, and I know somebody told me that they waited to talk to the race director after the race. A bunch of the teams did, and they never saw him. So
Nice.
He just didn't show up.
That's what they told me. I didn't follow up, so I don't know. Of course, I told you I've been sick, so I haven't done anything, this weekend. But, I want to follow up with the racetrack and find out. But I just thought that was an interesting story, and I heard that from multiple competitors, not just one. So
yeah, that might be a story there. Let's, get behind that and see if they're going to change how they view some of these contacts. Are they going to have let the boys have at it,
Yeah, I guess they said on the radio when both of those instances happened that it was just hard racing and it didn't look intentional, and that's a hard thing to do. If you're going to call them, you almost have to call them to the side of the same way every time. You know what I mean?
And that's
even
hard.
if you think it's hard racing, you got to just say, let's. And with 11 cars there, I mean, honestly, if they'd put Nick to the rear, he probably still would have come back and won.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just been harder.
Right. So they made a better show of it.
The race director, I don't envy any race director. That's the hardest job at the track, other than somebody trying to sell for the track. But he'll look at it as hard racing. But you got both sides of the fans. They're going to see it their way, and their driver was innocent, So that's where it's going to get pretty heated up, I'm sure.
I love a little controversy. Nothing sells more tickets than a little controversy.
That's right.
That's right. Southside Speedway got the race on. Chris Johnson again, 13 cars, late model stocks. Wake County, bless their hearts, finally got the race on. I got their opening race. Wake County had 8 late model stock cars. Randy Renfro in victory lane at Wake County, so.
And you say 8 cars, and you go, well, man, that ain't many. But at Wake County, 8 cars.
8 cars you put on a show. You're absolutely right.
That place is so awesome. And Randy Renfro, old school racer, cool guy. Glad to see him win.
Yeah. And Saturday, if your name is Mother Nature, then you win. Most everybody got rained out that we were going to cover. I was actually trying to sneak over to Bowman Gray after work, but of course they rained out. But Caraway also had to cancel. They did move the Enduro race to June 1st, so it will not be pushed to the wayside. So we still got time to get Corey in a car there, so we need to work on that. Dillon Motor Speedway, they got their race on, had the mass street stocks, which is very popular and very cool to see to go around the track. Ben Stanton was your late model stock car winner, and that's about the only news I can find on that. Everybody else canceled. The Mother's Day race, where all moms get admitted free at Greenville, they moved that to their open date this coming weekend. So, moms, if you're listening, or your racers down that way, if you're listening, your mom can get in free next weekend. So, good for them for carrying that over. Dominion had to cancel their Twin 60s. Of course, Hickory had to cancel. Motor Mile, you spoke about that. Orange County, they had to call it Southern National. They waited as long as they could, and they made the call late, and boy, they got hammered with some weather. I think they got hammered with some weather this afternoon with some real huge hailstorms and possible tornadoes touching down. So thinking about those folks today. Big race of the weekend on Saturday was Myrtle Beach Speedway. 22 late model stock cars. How about Ryan Galinsky winning the late model stock car race? Good race. I bet there was a lot of action there. And also, look, they had 18 Super Trucks there. Brian Voss won that, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's funny, we were talking before we, started recording for this episode, and we were talking about 22 cars. Man, that was a short field for them. It's funny how perspectives are on every racetrack and everything.
On Friday, I posted, I thought they'd have 30.
Yeah.
I mean, Lee McCall said he was going. I had talked to David Roberts. He was going. I knew Gage Painter was going. I thought they would have. I really thought they'd have 30 cars. And it is funny, right? Hickory would die to have 22. And I'm not putting Hickory down. I'm just saying, from a perspective, 22 is a lot better than 12 or 13. But yeah, that surprised me. I thought it would be, especially since everybody was canceling.
Right. And looking at the results at, the Rev Racing, drivers had some good runs. Nick Sanchez finished second. Gracie Trotter was sixth. Gage Painter, you mentioned him. I believe that was his first late model stock race.
I think
he
so,
finished
too.
fourth. I mean, that kid's impressive. And Craig Stollard, man, finishing third. Good dude from over in Kentucky and driving for Tommy Lemons. And I believe Ryan Galinsky was driving a car prepared by Tommy Lemons as well.
And how about Blaze Brinkley, young racer there, third generation, finishing top 10, finishing 8th, man. That's awesome for Brad and that family, man. That little fella, he is coming on strong. He's been racing at Southern National and a few other places and going down to the beach. And, hey, 22 cars finishing 8th, man. Hats off to him.
Yeah, it's definitely a good run. I see, back toward the back of the field, Tommy Lemons was like 11 laps down. I don't know what happened to any of these guys. We don't have any video or anything, but
Sam,
a lot of the really good cars were out of the race. Not to discount the guys that finished up front, but something must have happened with like Sam Yarborough, who started on the pole. He finished 20th and only made it to lap 47, I believe it says. So
I did see on social media where everybody was raising Cain. It was a 75-lap race. Now, how did Ryan get 76 laps? If you look on the score there, I'm sure they forgot to turn the scoring off when he went around and did a victory lap. I'm sure that's what that is.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. But people just want to make a big deal out of it. And listen, if social media is a breeding ground for stupidity, so I mean, people just want to go on there and say any asinine thing to make themselves sound intelligent. So.
A breeding ground for stupidity. That was awesome.
I mean, tell me it's not. I mean,
No,
for all the great things of social media, it is a breeding ground for stupidity. It really is.
I don't disagree with you. I guess.
All right, what else we got going on in the news here?
Let's see. Other than that, just want to mention big race this coming weekend, Motor Mile Speedway. The Cars Tour got super late models and late models. They're going to have practice on Friday, starting around 2:30 all the way, and they'll alternate the divisions there all the way till about 6:30. So folks getting off of work there and go check out practice. I don't think it'll cost anything. The grandstands open Saturday at 4 p.m. Qualifying starts at 5:15 with late models, super late models, single car qualifying for both divisions will follow. Fan Fest, they will have a Fan Fest starting around 6:30, 6:25 on the schedule. And the green flag at 7:30, 125 laps for the super late models, 125 laps for the late models. They do have some local classes, street stocks, and the Mod 4s. Mod 4s, they'll have about 40 of them. They put on a good show, but sometimes they could stretch it out a little bit. But they put on a good show.
Those Mod 4s, man, I had a story on them last week.
Absolutely,
on
I thought that was awesome.
well.
Thought that was awesome.
So, but they'll be a great show this weekend. And I mean, that's one cool thing. You know, they'll probably have 20 or 25 of those. And, you know, Chris Regal from the Car Store told us on the Car Store report last week. Hopefully you listened to that already. It's on our podcast and on YouTube. But he told us last week that they'd have expecting about 25 cars in each of the late model stock and super late model divisions. So, man, we could have some hellacious fields at Motor Mile this weekend.
Yeah, I expect some of the local guys to run. I do know Ryan Rebko will be racing. Probably Looney. I don't know if Philip will run.
We haven't seen Ryan very much this year yet.
Yeah, he's had his motor up at the shop for a while, and focusing on. He's a college boy now, and so he's working on his schools, and he's got to keep those grades or no racing. You know how that goes. So hats off to his parents there. Love his mom and dad. They are super people. They're so good to Daniel. They just love Daniel. So Daniel's one of his biggest fans. And so I expect him to do well. He had a pretty solid hot rod. They tested pretty well, and had Forrest out there with them. So they made some changes and made some ground. So I expect him to do well. And of course, you have all the regulars there with the Cars Tour. Super late models. I think they'll see. A lot of the Tate Fogelman fans. His dad was pretty popular there, so I'm sure he'll have a lot of fans there as well. Bubba Pollard is said to be there, so I'm excited to see him there at Motor Mile. I know it's his first trip there.
Yeah, I believe he might be going for the championship for the Cars Tour or something.
Yeah, he mentioned that at Hickory in the post-race interviews, that his sponsor is in Greensboro or something like that, something about workwear or something like that. So I wanted to check that out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. And, I mean, great thing for the Cars Tour to have, a guy like that along. Even though he might win every race, he's somebody who everybody who's, just a novel, race fan, they've heard of Bubba Pollard by now. And I get to go see him, close to home. So
he's
I think
a draw.
It's great.
That's what we've been talking about, right? We need some good draws.
Absolutely.
If you get 100 people going, you get a 50-50. Half of them going to want to see him do bad, half of them want to see him do good. But the point is, everybody's going. I think that's what's cool.
For sure.
Maybe Preston Peltier will be there to bump him around a little bit. So
that would be sweet. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I got to be nice. Got to play nice. Oh, another little announcement for this race. How about yours truly being my hometown? That's where I grew up, just down the road at Pulaski. Graduated Pulaski County High School, class of 1985. Voted class clown. I know that's hard to believe.
Not really.
But Radford, that was my stomping grounds right there. And I left in 1985. The track wasn't built in 88, but still, that's my stomping grounds. That's my home track. Tony Stevens called me and said, "Hey, man, it's your home track, it's your home turf. What do you think about working the booth with me?" So I thought about it, and I said, why not? We'll have some fun. So I'm going to work the booth with Tony at Motor Mile. So I'll be up doing the broadcast with Tony this weekend. And Tyler's going to be on pit road for us, so I'm excited, so excited to get to work. I've been working with Tony for years, but so excited to do an actual broadcast with Tyler on pit road. So I think he does a fantastic job. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We thought we were the only ones dumb enough to give you a mic.
Oh, I can trick some of them.
Oh man, no, it'd be good. Yeah, it'd be good to hear you instead of Tony. Hopefully, he doesn't talk any. That'll be great. Makes my ears bleed. I know if we were live tonight, the comments would light up with everybody else that hates him too. That night that we were talking about him on the show, he actually texted me later and he said, "Was this the hate on Tony hour or something?" I said, "Yeah, something like that." I said I started, making jokes and everybody just piled on. He said, "Well, at least I'm like Daryl Waltrip."
Yeah, there you go. I wish you wouldn't say stuff like that because I think he does a fantastic job. He works his butt off and has really worked hard to create a great. Hey, he creates a great product for the folks, and he's worked hard enough. He should have earned a lot of respect. So I think the world of Tony. And that first time, I always tell that story. That first time that I met him, and he worked with me and Alan. I knew right away. And the first time, we sent it down to him during the live race, that was our guy. He was one heck of a knowledgeable pit reporter, and I told everybody then, and I'll say it today, he's just as good, if not better, than a lot of the folks that do the MRN, the PRN.
Are you politicking for a job?
No, not at all, man.
It sounds like you're in a job.
I'm just telling you.
I'm
just telling you.
As a producer, have you allowed him to hijack our podcast?
As a producer, I know the goods when I see it. Okay.
I'm not saying that you don't.
Hey, I just want to have a good balance where he likes to bust him up, and I just, hey, I want to tell the truth.
Listen, I like him $39.95 a month worth or whatever, right? Like, he wouldn't tell us how many subscribers he had, so I have limited. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh wow, yeah. I'm looking at your list here, Doc. Not to change the subject, but I'm looking at your list here of races coming up this weekend. You do a great job putting together these list of all the races coming up. But I'm looking at one that stands out to me because I was looking at a post the racetrack made from this past weekend. But Dominion Raceway, they're having a makeup late model stock race this weekend. Mm-hmm. I guess they got some sort of other event going on there this weekend as well. But it's a non-track points event, but NASCAR points event. I don't really understand it, and I'm reading through the comments. Neither does anybody who races there.
I think I can. I don't know if I can explain it where it's not going to hurt you for the track championship, but if you want to come there and they got a big car count, it will help you towards the NASCAR points.
Well, let me tell you something I learned as a promoter. If you don't have points for the track,
they ain't going to show up, yeah.
And that's pretty much what they said in those comments. I mean, there's racers, moms and dads and crew chiefs and stuff in there talking about, well, why would we come? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think I put
maybe they'll get that squared away. That might be just a small undersight or oversight that they didn't think about. Yeah.
I put on the notes there, big enduro race, May 18th. I'm gonna have to go back and check because I thought I saw where they extended it to June the 1st. That might have been a typo there.
Well, I mean, if you didn't screw something up, we wouldn't think it was too different. So.
Well, if you want to go ahead and cover the upcoming races, Friday, this coming Friday, Kingsport Speedway, I think that's the only Friday track that we cover, is getting a race on this Friday, Kingsport. So that I'm sure you might be headed out that way. And, of course, Bowman Gray, I don't know if they're going to carry forward last week's program or go ahead with they had a Crash Fest on the website.
I thought that was every week.
Yeah, me too.
Didn't our guest from last week explain to us that was every week over there?
No, he explained that he's not crashing you. He's moving you.
Hey, let's revisit that a little bit. Not to go back, but I mean, what were your thoughts on that show?
I thought he was highly entertaining.
I mean, everybody knew he would be highly entertaining, right? Yeah. And that's kind of his style. But I have to tell you, I applaud a lot of the things that he's really that blue collar guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's the typical guy from and I hate to say this, but he's like the typical guy from up north. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to do it. This is what I'm willing to do for you. Here's what I need you to do for me. Let's go. And I applaud that. Not that people in the South don't do that, because after that, everybody I know called me and said that I tried to divide the world right there. And that really wasn't what I was trying to do. I wanted him to kind of reiterate maybe some of the differences due to the fact of I think he's winning.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's winning. He's got somebody paying for his race car that wants to go to the racetrack every single week, right? They're just in it as much as he is. He doesn't have to be a mechanic, not that he can't, because he works on cup cars, right? So, but he doesn't have to be, and he can work on racing, right? Like, and the second part I loved is he was just really real. You know,
absolutely.
Who cares about turning laps? Go find money. If you can find money, you can get in a car.
I thought that was fantastic advice, didn't you, Roger? Because you're really big on talking with the young racers and the dads that come in. I really wanted to hear your take on that because I thought that was fantastic.
I just think I think it's 100. We've seen it over and over and over again. We've seen it, how it goes down, how the young kid needs, if he gets $2 million, he can go somewhere. If he doesn't, he struggles and flounders around till he either becomes where he can't do anything. So the interesting part to me is I think that's right. I think if you spend 90% of your time trying to find money, you'll get to do 20 or quite a bit more races. You know what I mean? It's great to cut laps. But it's an intriguing part that you got to get to the racetrack before you can be any good.
Right.
And I think a lot of us forgot that. We just think that we can go test and test and test and test.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened, and we put everything on one race, where if you could do 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 races, how much more relaxed could you be as a racer or as an owner or, whatever. I think it's all about finding money, not about tacting to who's got the best car or this or that. If you find the money, you can get in the best car. That's it.
Yeah, the two things that I took out that I really appreciate him saying and explaining it is, and I've heard it from all the top drivers of any division that we've covered, that I've worked with. Number one, he said, if you can drive, you can drive. If you can drive now, you can drive a year from now. You can get it done, And then him talking about racing at Bowman Gray. He's not there to wreck them. He's there to move them. There's an art to it. Bird is trying to explain it to some of these guys that want to get mad if they get touched at Bowman Gray. If you get mad if you get touched at Bowman Gray, then you don't really understand racing. That's what's going to happen. That's what has to happen if you're going to move forward. And I liked how he explained it, and I've heard Bert explain it the exact same way, is you're not there to wreck them. You're there to move them, and there's an art to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he did a great job explaining a lot of things. And my favorite story, my favorite takeaway from that, I'm all about the entertainment factor. My favorite story from that was when he was talking to the other driver. I can't remember which one it was at the time, but he was talking to the other driver, and he was talking about, hey, man, we're going to get lunch. He's like, no, we got to help on this car. No, man, they got it,
yeah.
And, ordinarily I don't think I would appreciate that, but just the way he told that story.
Yeah, and that was great. The guy that wrecked that car that they were working on.
Right.
That he was ashamed to come around. No, man, come on, let's go. They got it.
Right. That's great stuff.
Yeah, I really, really liked him, and some of the folks that were coming to our show that wouldn't normally come to our show, I'm sure he gained, just like somebody said on the message, I'm sure he gained a lot more fans, and I think his fandom is really growing at Bowman Gray because they appreciate that's what they want. They want a hard-nosed, blue-collar racer.
Yeah, the dude better get some more T-shirts. That's all I can say.
That is true. I agree with that 100%.
I mean, honestly, he needs some T-shirts that says rocket launcher. He needs a little bit of everything. He needs every version of every nickname he's got, and he needs to be out there selling them.
Rocket launcher, that just cracks me up.
Now he needs to be launching them into the stands with the launcher gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I would. I mean, those people are willing to pay for money down to me before I send them up.
There you go.
Yeah,
that place, man. I mean, it's the perfect place to sell. For a driver to build a fan base and to actually be able to sell. And I think that's something that Car Store is trying to do with their whole Touring 12, and they got hats and T-shirts and all that stuff. I'd like to see their stuff, look a little bit better. Not condemning them in any way, shape, or form, but I'd like to see them spend a little bit more time, with the design. But I think that's something that they could build on over the next few years.
Yeah, I agree.
So, what else we got in the news? Anything?
Let's see. We got You said the makeup for Greenville. Hickory's, I think, is going to have the Twin 40s coming up this coming weekend. Langley,
That's where
100.
Roger will be.
That's where Roger will be until his wife starts sending pictures of.
Which will be right before the race
cooking.
starts.
Right, that's exactly right. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, perfect timing. Perfect timing. I mean, he went to Ace the other week, and nobody saw him there because, well, he wasn't there anymore.
I mean, what am I going to do?
Right. I mean, it's not like you're going to get your hands dirty and work on a car. So
You're a prick. That is wrong. I will do that.
Come on, man. You ain't got to lie to me.
I will, right? Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I kept waiting to
I still hate you.
hear. I kept waiting to hear. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Never saw him.
Where?
He might have sent you a text message.
Yeah, he did. Now, we did text. He did do that.
Right, you should have got there earlier. I ain't got all day to jack around. I got things to do.
I went straight from work, straight to the track.
Hey, I mean, that's right. I was already home.
Langley's got 100 laps coming up next weekend. Motor Mile, of course, we talked about that. The Tours. Shenandoah is going to get the race on Saturday night. Southern National is going to have the Super Cups, and I'm not sure if late models was part of that show, but they are racing. They got the Super Cups racing as well. And for the folks at Ace, even though they're not racing, they got the hometown throwdown concert featuring Confederate Railroad, which I think is pretty cool. Jive Mother Mary and Jacob Vaughn going to have a big show there. And don't forget Saturday for Anderson, the Super Trucks, late models and the limited late models, May 18th at Anderson, and that's all we got.
Big show there, huh? Wow.
Yeah, that ought to be a good one. And their Legends division, man, that Legends tour is just amazing. I mean, they're liable to have 25, 30 of them every time they show up to a racetrack.
Wow.
Yeah,
good stuff.
If not for the Cars Tour at Motor Mile, I would have definitely wanted to go down to Anderson because I can't wait to get to one of those truck events and limited late model events. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, depending on the rest of the RACE22 staff, where they're, whether they can go to Motor Mile or not go to Motor Mile. I was talking to one of them earlier about it, so we'll see. I may have to go to Motor Mile. I may end up going to Anderson. I'd like to do both of them, but obviously that's not possible.
Well, at least if you can go to Anderson, then maybe you can catch the live broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, well, since you'll be on there, it'll be worth listening to. So.
Come on, man.
I mean, I wasn't going to let that go. I mean, why should I? You know what I mean?
I say call Tony, and that way we can preview the race. But I think we already did that, though.
Oh, God. Yeah, we did that last week.
It's a good thing we can edit this.
We?
Yeah.
Did I hear? Are you French?
Doc can edit this.
Yeah,
I
hear
you.
Trying to edit audio because it's not very good.
Yeah, he should timestamp that right there. We're gonna take that out.
I'm gonna put the whole thing as is. It's gonna be raw.
There you go.
Well,
there you go.
That's the way people like it. So, all right. Anyways, I don't know, man. Looking ahead to this weekend, I really am excited about both of those races, talking about Motor Mile and Anderson, and I know there's other great races going on this weekend, but man, that's the tough thing about, everybody almost seeming like they have to run on Saturday. It's hard to get into two good races on one weekend. Yes,
especially they're spread apart, so it's not like you can go check one out and the other. They both start at the same time. I think that's, everybody says, here on the East Coast, you look in the Midwest, they race Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they think, why do they do that? But they get all the same fans, they get all the same racers. Every race is packed Wednesday through Saturday.
Well, that's not every race is packed, but you can race more nights. But sure. I honestly believe, Doc, that there's just more racers. Right? I think we have a bunch in this concentrated area, but there's so many tracks right here, right? The next closest track, up around where I'm from, it's 2 hours away. Does that make sense? It's just not one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the driver said last week, they had 3 or 4 choices, and that's it. Well, here, if you got a late model, in Winston-Salem, if you got a late model, you can go to 6 different tracks in just a couple of hours, so It is
and it's not just the
oversaturated.
tracks; it's the divisions, man.
And
You can run
Yep.
like, I mean, if you have a late model, you can literally at Motor Mile, you can literally, if you have a late model stock car chassis, you can run 3 different divisions.
There you go.
So you got a choice of divisions. So it's all broke up. I mean, I think it's one of the big problems that we have in this region specifically is everything's so broke up. You got so many classes and so many options at so many, to go so many places. It's just there's no way to have full fields, everywhere every week.
And then, as we've already documented before in other shows, every track has their own rules.
Right.
So I think in the Midwest, when you run the sprint cars, the wingless, the topless, the midgets, every track almost has the same USAC rules. Is that right, Roger?
Yeah, but it's not even that, right? Like, I mean, I think the supercar really wins. And I hate to say this, but I believe it to be true. I believe that the supercar wins because overall nationally, because it is interchangeable, right? Like, I mean, you can get a Hammer motor and I can race in California,
right,
or I can race in Maine.
Yeah.
I mean, but the problem is with a late model stock, I buy a Harrington motor and now I can race at these 5 or 6 tracks, but that's it, right? Like, I mean, that's it.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
And so I think that there ends up with groups of cars, and now we start dividing the cars up. Now there's not only late model, but there's limited. Now there's not only late model and limited, but there's Charger.
Right.
Yeah,
now,
the liberal late model.
Right. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I think we just divide the pie 80 times, and then there's not enough pie.
Right. And one problem that Doc just mentioned that is playing itself out this weekend, Florence, which I didn't see on your list, by the way, Doc. But anyways, Florence has a big limited late model race this weekend. It pays $4,444 to win.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fantastic.
Right.
Well, so I go, there's a post on their page, or somebody shared it or whatever, and I'm reading it, and it says, first guy coming up that has a limited says, well, I was going to go and I looked at the rules. Those are not limiteds.
Mm-hmm.
So we got classes, and that's another problem. It's like, Southern National's straight up limited division this year, but they call them late model stocks. I mean, they're specifically, titling them LMSC.
It confused me in the beginning, right? Like, it confused me in the beginning.
It's very confusing because people they are not actually telling you what they're running. They expect you to go look at the rules to find out. So it's just a really messed up situation, and everybody needs to kind of get on the same page. You're running limiteds, let's call them limiteds.
I've told you multiple times, and I've done it not just because I would hate for somebody to be wrong toward me, but I have almost quit giving rules advice.
Right.
Because I just see it to be a way to completely get caught. In the old days, I think you could go with it, but there are so many revisions and so much side this and so much we're letting this and we're doing this and we're doing that, I mean, I just can't. I cannot accurately give them a description of what I think the rule is because they change so much.
They do, and I mean it depends on the head tech guy's interpretation and what the rule actually says, and whether the ones that are on the website are the ones we go by or the ones at the racetrack, which actually happened a few years ago at Southern National. They had the wrong. I believe this was last year.
I think you remember. I remember that.
They had the rules on the website. The guy that was doing the website, they told him to put up the rules one way, and then they were actually enforcing another set of rules at the racetrack. So they were not on the same page, and that's part of the problem. And that's something that leads me to another rant. We talk about all the time how important social media is, and yes, it's important as can be. But what else is important is a website. Websites are extremely important because there's a lot of things that people can't find easily on social media, and that's the basic information, results, and schedules aren't easy to find typically on there either, and sometimes they look at your events and they're not right, or you've changed them, you had a rain out, or you did this or whatever, you know what I mean? But on your website, man, that stuff should be up to date. And I think people have lost, an importance. The website has lost its importance to a lot of people. When in reality, Yeah, I think there's a lot. Well, I think they're doing a terrible job on social. Okay.
Yeah, but
And
they're doing something so that then they believe, oh, well, I put one post out there so
yeah,
people should see it.
and they go, well, everybody's on Facebook, so everybody saw that. I don't need to do anything on my website. Well, then you go, there's people that don't know where to look on their social media to find the one post that they made 6 weeks ago telling about what the schedule was going to be. So, they go to the website and they don't find the right information. I mean, I can tell you who's the worst, and I feel okay calling them out because me and Anthony Anders are friends. But Greenville Pickens' website is trash. Just complete and total utter trash. And there are other racetracks. I mean, I think Wake County's is a little bit better than it was last year. It was pretty bad. I mean, there's other, for a while, Motor Mile there, they didn't have a place for results, but they fixed that, so I think people I think there are some people that are working on it, but there's other racetracks that need to get serious about this. That don't just take one avenue, and they probably listen to us and go, man, this social media is important. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to say this. Social media is not the only thing, but yes, it is very important. It is, put that up on your to-do list, and you can mark it number 1 if you want to, but number 2 needs to be your website, and number 3, your answering machine, because people are going to call you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You got to have all these pieces and parts. These racetracks are just dropping the ball in a lot of areas, and that was, I seen a post Corey actually made, about Ace Speedway not knowing 5,000 to win.
Yeah, I saw that.
Doc may have told us that on the show last week, but we don't listen to him anyways, and I didn't know it, so I didn't know that they were having a 5,000 to win show. I mean, he may have said it, it just may have just run through my mind because we're talking about many things.
I remember saying they were racing late models. They were on the schedule, but I did not see or have any information about a 5,000 to win. I don't think I can look at my old notes.
Right, and the funny thing is, he makes that post, and he's not being negative at all. And I know people got to make everything negative, the cesspool of stupidity there. But it's the thing about it is, these people don't understand that the constructive criticism. If people don't know, if it's late model stock car wise, and I don't know about it, well, you have failed. Okay, you have failed 110. If you're too damn lazy to text me to tell me. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm important, but
for sure.
I have the largest late model stock car audience, period, bar none. RACE22 is the largest late model stock car audience there is at all whatsoever. If you want to sell something, promote something, or do something about late model stocks, RACE22 would be the place to do it.
I would agree.
And we put information out for racetracks and for businesses sometimes for free.
Langley.
You know what I mean? It's not everything doesn't have to be paid for. You don't have to buy an ad. You don't, whatever.
Let me ask you a question just to prove a point.
Information to the people that can put it out there for you.
Let me ask you a question just to prove a point. How many people are emailing or getting you race results from a race weekend?
Not a lot. And that's, part of that is, we're, a lot of these racetracks over the last few years, I mean, honestly, we've became their source of getting information out. So when we're at a race and we put out results, heck, they don't even do anything. You know what I mean? And it's like that post, it was like Speed 51 was there doing updates, and that's great. And I'm glad they were there. And I've got nothing against Speed 51. They do a great job, but that's great. But if nobody knew that race was going on, can you imagine? They got 13 cars. I mean, could they have had 18 had somebody known that race was going on? And I'm not throwing down on Ace. Listen, I know it sounds like I'm on a rant tonight, and I've been sick, and maybe my head's cloudy, and I'm just talking out my ass. I don't know,
medicine.
but
let's blame it on the medicine.
Listen, the thing about it is, I'm not bashing anybody here. I'm just the thing about this is everybody collectively, and RACE22 included, we all need to do a better job promoting these racetracks, all of us. And I think, the things that we do on this radio show with the news and the week that Doc does, I think all of that's been great, and that's been probably more information than a lot of these racetracks have got put out there in a long time.
And I'm going to tell you,
but we all need to do more.
From doing it, it's a struggle to find good information on half of these tracks on the websites or social media.
Listen, yeah, but I'm going to take one out of context because Langley and I don't see things eye to eye a lot of times. And when I wanted to do the social media for Performance Center, this was a couple years ago, and I didn't really understand a lot that had to do with social media. And Langley kept coming to me and saying, "Hey, you need to do this. You need to do this." And I thought to myself, he's completely bumped his head because, like, it's not going to matter. Well, the problem was not just making a post. The problem is procuring the information to make the post.
Yep.
Because I have customers all over, right? It's not just the ad copy that goes into the ad or the photo that goes. It's very difficult to even generate the information. So that's where the biggest disconnect seems to be coming. That would even be easier for me as a company to promote my product, or PRW chassis or Marlowe Racing chassis or LTO chassis or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
We have so many people, so many places, and it would be great if we would love to promote our people, and we don't even a lot of time hear from our customer to know that they won. So let alone hear from a racetrack. So that's something. If you got one of our cars and you win, or even if you don't have, just tell people so that we can promote it, because we would love nothing more than to promote me from a performance center standpoint, Langley from a RACE22 standpoint. It makes a difference.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just getting information today should be the simplest thing in the world, and somehow we've got it, convoluted. And yes, I know that Facebook algorithms play a huge role in that. Yes, because everybody came to Facebook because it was free and because it was, getting this information out. And at one time, yes, everybody who liked your page saw what you put out. Well, let me let you in on a little secret. That doesn't happen anymore. Okay,
yeah.
People that like your page don't necessarily see it.
What I was reading some kind of update thing on Reddit the other day, and it said less than 1%, I think, of your friend basis, and it might be a little higher, I think, if you were a business, but I think if you just had a standard page, less than 1% of the people that you interact with actually saw your posts.
Right. It's very low. I mean, and that's one of the things that these racetracks are having a problem with. They look at it, they say, oh, we have 15,000 likes, so we have 15,000 potential people that are going to read this post that says we're racing this weekend. Well, that's inaccurate. Okay.
Correct.
Because 15,000 people are not going to see it. 1,500 might not see it. 500 might not see it.
Sure.
It's so low. And yes, you can pay and you can buy ads on there and you can do other things, but there's so many other ways that you can get more people seeing it. And there are racetracks doing, good things that are doing that and getting more people to see it. And there are group ways of doing that. I've seen, a couple racetracks have got some groups that, created to get information out.
I think
and
that's
that disperses
awesome.
information. Yep, 100%. I agree. I mean, it's a good way for them to connect with their drivers, their fan base, and everything. And everybody in that group usually, unless Facebook's changed that recently, gets a notification of what happened there, so they have the opportunity to see it.
Right. You can set it up that way, or you can turn it off, but you can set it up that every time that the group dings, you're in.
Right. Exactly.
So you don't miss any updates.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and yes, you can do that on a page too, but so many people are not going to do that. A lot of people are just going to go like the page, and they think it's the same psychology on the other end. The user, if I go to, somebody's page, I go, oh, I'm going to go to the NFL's page. Well, I like that. All right, now I'm going to see everything. No, you're not. You're not going to see everything just because you like that. You can go to see first, and it'll actually show you a notification, which you don't actually see at first because they show you a notification 3 hours later, but that's beside the point. But there's so many nuances to all of this stuff that I just wish people knew, man. I mean, it's just so many things that people don't understand. You're talking about giving a chassis seminar. I swear I'd like to give a digital media seminar to every one of these racetracks for free, 100% for free. Racetrack series,
We'll
whoever,
do it at Performance
racers.
Center.
Yeah, I'm ready. I mean, and it's not for any other purpose than to help them. I mean, do I think it does good to advertise on RACE22? Yes, 100%. But do I think it would do you better to actually know how to use the internet? Yes, I do, 100%. Right. I mean, and Doc, you mentioned them earlier, Anderson Motor Speedway. They do a phenomenal job with their social media. They constantly push out things, and it's great. I mean, they do a great. That's somebody that we don't give enough kudos to for what they do.
I spoke with Lee Falk the other day, and he spoke highly of them. He just said it's a nice place to go.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
you know what you're going to get. You know what I mean. You know where you're at. You know that you're going to be treated well, and he enjoyed going there.
well, I mean, I can tell you anybody who speaks poorly of Sylvia Porter, that
For
tells me
sure. For
more about
sure.
them than it does her. I can tell
For
you that for
sure.
sure.
100%.
But there's just so many things out there, that people can do. These racetracks can do better. And I know it seems like we harp on them every week, and the racers too. I mean, for that matter, all these racers. I went to, like, while I was sick, man, I'm just searching around for things on the internet at 5 a.m. when I should be, trying to go to sleep, and but I'm looking around at things, and man, one of the top racers in this region, he's got a like page, and last thing on there was from 2015. Another one, 2018. Merry Christmas. Listen, the best thing was one of them had their 3 posts for the year was Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, and Happy Easter.
They're Catholics for sure.
We don't know any damn thing about you racing.
Right,
but
they're
Merry
Catholics.
Christmas.
Right, there you go.
I mean, everybody collectively's got to do a better job, and these people, they're racing on their dime because of that. If they were doing a better job with their social media and they had good websites and, they had all these pieces and parts in place. And I mean, I'm not sitting here promoting websites tonight, but, I don't want anybody to think I'm sitting here promoting that because I want to sell a website. Yep, we do build websites. But hey, guess what? Molly Hellmuth builds websites too, and she does a fantastic job. And if you want to go get her to build it, I think that's fantastic because she does a good job and maybe it'll stay updated.
You're on fire tonight.
I am, man. I read through that Ace post that Corey made and just reading how people took that and realizing how stupid people are to think everything's negative. And yes, I just called everybody stupid, and I really don't give a crap. I'm tired of everybody thinking that everything that is said that isn't like, praise Jesus about this racetrack, that it's got to be negative, and it's not. It's not. Everybody in this business has got to get their act together. I mean, RACE22 last week while I was sick basically did nothing, okay? Nothing. So we were dead in the water. We needed to get our act together last week. I needed to have got somebody to step in and get things, to where we had some content out there. All these racetracks have got to do the same thing. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to be getting stuff. The Performance Center, Facebook page needs more stuff. Everybody, you know what I mean?
No, for sure. Listen, I'm straight here to tell you that it does. And the one thing I think that you and I talk about sometimes, I guess maybe that we don't let everybody else in, is like, we understand that there's time, right? Like, time is the hardest thing.
Right.
I mean, it's the hardest thing for me, right? I mean, it is legitimately 8 o'clock at night. My son is finishing up his homework. My wife made dinner, and I mean, it's just, but we're still we'd like to get this information out there.
Yeah, I can hear the pots and the pans in the background. It sounds like it's going to be good.
She does it up, man. And that's why I've gained 30 pounds. I mean, I told her I have to start running again. Otherwise, it's not going to work out very good. But I mean, we understand time is an issue, right? But it's just the things to where I seem to be getting myself to be able to do it is, it's just one more cog in the wheel for my business. So, some of it I'll tell you straight up, some of it Langley does a lot of it for me, and some of that's because I just don't have time to do it myself. And that's also a viable option. If you don't have time as a racetrack, or you don't know how, like, get somebody that does.
That's what I say.
And this has been if I have left no other mark on late model stock and you think I'm a complete idiot, that's cool. But I've continued to get somebody that knows every time. I maybe don't know the answer, but I'll find you the answer. Or I pay people that do know the answer. And I think that's a lot of my success, is only because I realize sometimes if I can't get it done, I'm not afraid to throw a couple bucks one way or the other. It's not like people are trying to take everything from you.
So I think at every track, I guarantee you there is a family of hardcore fans for that particular track, for their favorite drivers, for that favorite track, that has kids or someone in the family that would do it for the tracks. All the tracks have to do is reach out and try. That's all I got to do.
And I think that reaching out is part of the hard part too, because like we said, how are you going to reach them? You're going to make a post on your Facebook page, okay?
Right.
With those 15,000 people, they didn't see it. 150 of them did. So maybe, hopefully, you cultivate them from there. But
see, that's what I'm saying. That's the disconnect. Get out of the office, go walk in the stands and talk. Get to see your fan base. Because if you think that everybody is on Facebook and you don't know your crowd, you're wrong. You lose, because if you're standing at the start-finish line and look up at your crowd, you're going to see various age groups, and not everybody's on Facebook. If you think everybody's on Facebook, you lose.
Oh, 100%. I agree, and I think we had this conversation one night a little bit on the show, or in the comments. Maybe they were having this conversation about having somebody do it, and I remember somebody posted, "Well, you can't just have anybody do it." Yes, you can. If they do a poor job, well, that's better than the job you're doing now.
Right.
I mean, like I've give, several times, I think we've give kudos to Hickory for stepping up their game.
Oh,
and they've done a great job.
Right, huh? I like what they're doing. Hey, hold on. I want you guys to hear this. Hold on.
Oh, God.
I waited till 10 after 8 before I had a cocktail.
Wow.
Oh, I thought you was slapping that 30-pound belly.
No, that was the beer.
I
thought I'd enter a beer into this. It'd be a good time.
I thought you've been listening to the 83 Weeks podcast with Eric Bischoff, because they do that at 10 a.m.
Do they? Dude, that's awesome. That might be part of my deal. That might be good.
I think it would be. Hey, the Bologna Burger podcast with Stephen Dunn and Kyle Painter, they have the beer of the week. They go out and find an interesting craft beer or whatever.
I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. I want to do completely stupid things for a weekly deal. Like we were talking about it today. We're really looking at turning that second room into an electric go-kart racing thing for us and all of our friends.
Right.
And we figure that we can probably get enough clips out of people cheating death in there that we should be able to get one or two to go viral.
I'm sure of that.
Cheating death.
There's polls everywhere. We now have it almost completely cleaned out. Can you imagine the content that we could procure out there?
Roger, there's go-kart tracks all over the country, and everybody's done this and done that. One thing I bet you nobody's ever done: figure eight.
Oh,
do it.
We're going to do electric, though. I don't want the fumes in there.
Zach Bruinger would be in for that figure eight.
Right. He's the head guy. I heard rumblings he may be able to at some point go back to Hickory.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I ain't touching that subject. So.
No, I heard rumblings of that.
Yeah, and maybe he paid his fine, or
maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. But anyways, we kind of derailed there a little bit with the
one thing we have to say before we get off is people need to go on, make sure they subscribe to your YouTube, make sure they subscribe to the RACE22 podcast. I didn't see as many subscribes as I thought that I would on your YouTube when I was perusing through it the other night at 3:30 in the morning. So I think I think we need to push that somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we definitely do.
Super interesting deal. I mean, we've been working to be able to bring you more video now.
Yeah.
That's some things that we've been working on. We've like I said, really changed Performance Center around, so we should be able to keep improving the product that we're able to give you both on YouTube and on the podcasting side. But I really like to see if we could get some more subscribers on that on the YouTube RACE22 side.
Absolutely, and our podcast platform. I mean, we can always afford to grow there, and if you can subscribe and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, that always helps too. So, but I guess we've ranted enough for one night. I probably said more than I probably should have said. But this was kind of, we wanted to test this out, make sure everything worked. And,
trying something different.
Do this.
Yeah, tell us what the sound quality. I don't know if they can leave comments on your podcast or whatever, but I'd like to know what people thought. Was the sound quality good? Was it just so horrible you couldn't listen? Do you hate us all three. Not many people hate Doc, but do you know? Do you not
Oh,
like
you'd be
me?
surprised.
If he keeps talking good about Tony, his numbers are going up. If people hate,
Wow. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean,
Doc don't even know how to respond to that one.
they need to let us know too some things they'd like to hear. You know, we have a lot of ideas that we'd like to go about, but definitely if we could bring some value to somebody of something they're interested in hearing or a racer that they'd like to promote. I think there's some value in that, or a business that they like to promote.
Yeah.
Even better. I think there's some ways that we could do this. I'd like to hear from some manufacturers too. Listen,
it's like the other week when I think it was Leland Honeyman said he was going up to go racing and said, "Hey man, I need some crew guys. I'll pay." I thought that was awesome. He did that on our show.
Right. I mean, I'd like to try to get Jay and Forrest maybe to come to Performance Center. Maybe Bobby Creech or
Be an interesting show.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think from a bad standpoint. I mean, maybe from a group of people that could try to. I mean, you can come in my shop. I don't have anything to hide from anybody.
Especially now, the way you got the layout. Did I see the couch on the video?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's right close to where we're going to do the show live until it moves into the actual studio. So, man, we need to get our folks back out, hanging out with us. I miss the Peanut Gallery hanging out with us on the live show.
Yeah, it was definitely more interesting when we had Zach, being the bartender and delivering beers.
Right? Like, yeah, for sure.
Hey, whatever it takes, man.
Listen,
you got the refrigerator there. It can hold a few beers. So
in case you haven't, I'm not completely stupid. So I'm bringing.
Well, not completely, but mostly.
Right. So hold on. I'm bringing what more draws racers to a place? I'm putting an indoor go-kart track with beer. And race car parts.
I don't know about drivers, but you got Corey's attention.
This is like a crack haven for racers now, right?
Right.
Lord.
Wow.
And then hold on, the rug guy, the guy that brings us rugs today, said we could promote to people that won the go-kart races in the back on the radio show right there live. Just bada boom, bada bing.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We're making stars, making them happy.
Absolutely. And funny enough, my promoting days actually started at a go-kart track where, you go in and pay $4 to ride a go-kart. We started league races there. You could do the same kind of thing there.
Yeah.
It'd be cool as can be, man.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. I mean, you don't make any money, I can tell you that much.
Well, listen, and Performance Center in the hole doesn't make any money. So it's just another, that's anyway. That's a whole different show. But, I mean, I think that's part of what I've kind of relinquished to do. I realize this thing isn't going to make a fortune. It's just going to be one business in my repertoire of businesses. So let's have fun with it, right? Let's just do some crazy stuff and build some cool things and have a good time.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the first episode of The Grind coming to podcast platforms everywhere.
How about that? This show is spawning some new projects. The Grind. I think that is awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do next week. I got a bunch of intros to choose from and some outros and doing just some things that I don't know how to do. So I've kind of asked some people, and I went on the internet and got some other people's opinions, and I just really believe that there's a lot of people that even if we don't bring live value to them, that we can bring value to them through podcast sessions or whatever. I mean, I have a friend that came in today. He's been active in the racing community for 25 years. He lost his job. He's decided, hey, I still want to continue to sell parts in this community. And I thought, man, how interesting to get your message out there for a guy like that you could really set him up where he didn't have a big time where he had a bridge in payroll. You know what I mean? If you could build a listenership to enough people where a guy that's in our network, it's a late model stock car guy or a super guy, or, we're all kind of a family.
Right.
If you could bring value to him in that instance, I mean, that you could really benefit people, and that's really where I want to go. No sponsored, no nothing. kind of like what we've done this, and I'm gonna, I'm trying, I'm desperately trying to figure out who the right person is for some setup videos. There's been a huge, everybody that I've asked has said yes, so the grind can lead into some setup videos, and I just want to produce a little bit of content every day.
Yeah, I think that'll be great, and I think that's another thing that this show and just the growing demand for podcasts and stuff that is doing. I mean, I know we've had 2 or 3 racetracks, approach us about doing, shows, specifically for them. None of them have worked out and got, done yet.
And I really want to do that. I mean,
yeah, I want to take it on the road. That'd be so much fun.
We've bought some of us as a group. We've bought some of this new equipment. I'd really like to use it kind of in the field to be able to I think we can live stream some stuff from. I'm the tech guy. I always want to spend money, and Langley doesn't want to.
That's my job, not to spend money.
Right. Like I want to have cool things. So I would like to be able to get out to some of these places. I'd love to do a Friday night Kingsport. Love to.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like.
Oh yeah.
Like to do a live stream.
We'll do one down in Anderson.
I'd even do one from Ace, to be real honest.
Oh, yeah.
We have a lot of options. I think we could do, maybe some director's chairs sitting out front, interviewing the guys after. I think you could really do a good thing, and we
do one on the paddock area in Bowman Gray.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Some more breaking news. I think that we're going to get to promote a race at the end of the year.
Nice.
I think I'm finally going to get to something that I want to do. I'm going to try to hook Langley in. He's less I'm in than I thought he would be. So I'm going to. But God, I think there's going to be some good things that we're going to do. And like reach out. Nobody hates anybody here, at least not that I know of. So, right. I mean, reach out to people. Let's try to do some collaborations on things, whatever. I mean, even if we got to do something with Tony Stevens, good gosh. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we give him hell, but we love him. I mean, we wouldn't have had him on the show
for sure.
We kid because we care.
I love what he's doing. Yeah. To be 100% honest with you, I just think it's great. I think that every racetrack should do it, but I ran into a little snag the other day because I was told I was negotiating with this gentleman about some racetrack things, and he told me that I couldn't have the video rights because it was a NASCAR-based track.
Yeah, Tony can get in the details with that. Yeah, that is very complicated. I don't understand it one bit.
That almost, I mean, I understand.
And that, I think Tony is the reason that started that.
Yeah, he's the reason for that rule.
Yeah.
So. It just, I don't think that's good. I mean, I don't think.
It's definitely not, but
and that's why they wouldn't let us do Martinsville all those years.
There, so. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Doc, we know you're headed to Motor Mile for the Cars Tour race. I'm either headed there or to Anderson. Roger, I said you were going to be at Hickory, but I don't know where you're going. Where are you going?
Hickory.
See, I knew it, man. It's like
I'm the house, man.
Plus, he's got a lot of customers there.
You can be home in time for dinner.
I could go to Anderson. Are you going to go to Anderson? I might if you.
I don't know yet. I've got to work everything out with my staff and see where we're at.
Your staff? You mean your wife?
No.
Boss. Just say it, dude.
No. I've just
the staff is out there mowing the grass.
Well, no, we're committed to doing all the Cars Tour races live, and that's our number one commitment. Doing the live updates for them. So I've got to have somebody there to do the updates and photos. Which I could probably pull the photos off even if I didn't have somebody who actually works for us normally do it. But I've got to have somebody there for updates, so I have to see how that plays out.
Hey, one thing I do also want to take it. I don't really know what I guess the perfect wording is to it, but I'd like to send my condolence out to Corey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know his grandpa passed away today, and I had texted him like I felt bad. I just maybe shoot some prayers out for them, and reach out to Corey and see if he needs anything or, whatever you can do. I guess, Langley, you probably know more about it. You can let people know.
Well, I don't really know any more about it, but definitely thoughts and prayers out to Corey Latham. That's why he couldn't be on with us tonight, as well. And hopefully they got plenty of people surrounding them, giving them love and care, and
Sure.
they'll be all right and get through this. So, I guess that's a great way to get the end of the show here. So we'll until next time, we'll see you here from RACE22 Radio.
Hello? I must be going.
Well, that'll wrap up this week's show. We want to thank you for listening to RACE22 Radio. Be sure and keep us logged on to race22.com for all your favorite late model stock car racing action, videos, podcasts, and much, much more. We'll be back broadcasting live around the globe next Monday at 6 p.m. from right here at the Performance Center Racing Warehouse Studio in beautiful Statesville, North Carolina. Until then, we'll see you at the races. RACE22 Radio is a presentation of RACE22 Productions.
I must be